Hi, this is Clint from Woodland Hills, California. You're listening to Huell's Gold.
All you have to do is climb aboard that helicopter with us as we continue our search together, this time out at sea for California's gold. Come on.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Season 6 of Huell's Gold. I'm Alan.
I'm Chris. Dude, this is like, if we were actually like in what, like Family Matters? Steve would already be Stefan Urkel by now. Like, we're that far into this show. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
And you know how excited I am about this week.
Yeah, I do. First thing I'll ask you.
Okay.
Lighthouses or light ships?
You know, just lighthouses for sure, because the iconic view, like the silhouette of it and everything.
Yeah.
A light ship is a cool concept, though.
Yeah, it is.
When did we see one? Like episode 3 or something?
Yeah, it's
so
first season,
long
for sure.
ago. And then Erin actually saw the dang thing on like at a work
That's
training.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, and she had to like take a picture through 3 chain link fences and everything. But yeah, lighthouses definitely.
All right.
And you totally love lighthouses too, right?
I do. Yeah. I do. I mean,
You don't like go on tours or read books or
none of that.
Yeah.
But I have been to one lighthouse.
yeah, we talked about this the windy one,
Oh,
right?
yeah, the Point Reyes. Yeah.
Yeah, which I've never been to that one. So
I technically been to it twice. Once at night, it was crazy windy, and it was windy and rainy. I think I already told the story.
yeah, so
We're
long
leaning
ago,
forward,
Bird.
forward, and the wind was holding us up. It was that windy. It was crazy. But yeah, no, I'm not like you with lighthouses at all.
Yeah,
I like them.
it was definitely one of those things where I didn't really realize how much I was into it until someone kind of pointed out, like, man, you've been to a lot of lighthouses. And I was like, I guess I have. And then I also, okay, so there's all the California ones, obviously, kind of partial to. But then when I was in Maine, I went, in Portland, Maine, I went on a lighthouse kind of boat tour thing. Because Maine has tons of lighthouses too. And in Portland, Maine, there's 13 of them. Like just in this one little kind of cove. And we did a little tour of them. And then there's one, like this super iconic one. I should know all these names, but like there's one that is almost like usually on the cover of calendars and other kinds of things whenever you're thinking of New England. And that one is a lighthouse museum now. So obviously super psyched on that one. And it had all this cool lighthouse merchandise in a store. And I bought my mom something as a gift that I super almost didn't give her because I wanted it for myself, which was a lighthouse little a piece of stained glass.
Oh.
She has it in her kitchen. I always want it every time I go to her house.
Just ask her to borrow it.
Yeah. Borrow decoration. Oh, man. Yeah. So the little bit of the clip that you heard kind of tacked on to the intro this week, which was, I think it's our last time doing this Sick Boy theme. Is
it?
Pretty sure it's the last time. I mean, as we know, we're doing it at the end of all of our shows,
Yeah.
but man, it's sad to see that one go. But I'm glad that I'm calling it Rich and what was the other guy's name? Shoot. I got to go to my old notes. Rich and Eddie's theme. That's what I was calling it. Like the classic theme now. We'll be hearing that one forever.
Okay.
The reason I put that on there is because this really is kind of one of these, at least for Louis, the cameraman's, it's one of his most favorite shoots. Did you catch that part in the book?
No. I mean, I've read it, but
Yeah, it was a while ago. I had to
that
go
didn't
back.
stick, yeah.
because he was like really proud of the fact that he thought of the fact that he would need to go down the helicopter first so that he could then see
yes.
Huell coming down in that little basket. So this whole helicopter shoot is kind of a big deal. I wanted the helicopters to be in there.
Okay.
But anyway, let's just get to the lighthouses.
Well,
yeah?
before we get
what
there,
do you
though.
got?
So we got Huell in the garb.
Yeah,
We have the return of our
helicopter garb.
favorite theme, but apparently it's the last one. And we also have the return of some technical difficulties. Did you notice that?
No.
Is that just me?
Oh, the outline.
Yeah.
How it like pops into frame for a second and then freezes. Yeah.
So
oh, man.
That's about it, though. We get to lighthouses.
I
then.
love this show. Here we go, lighthouses.
It's some of the most beautiful coastline you'll ever see. We were heading north from Eureka to Crescent City, which is about as far north as you can get before you go over into Oregon. And when we got to Crescent City, we headed due west out to sea because our destination was 7 miles off the coast. Now, at first, it was just a tiny speck off in the distance. And then, there it was in all its mysterious majesty, the St. George's Reef Lighthouse, a huge granite structure seeming to rise up right out of the ocean. Now, this old lighthouse has been standing guard on this reef since 1892. Decommissioned in 1974, these days it's deserted. But it's a magnificent reminder of earlier times, and we were going to get to spend a day there. Problem was, how do you get on this thing? There was no place for a boat to land. Well, the Coast Guard had the answer. We were lowered one at a time in a wire basket. Definitely one of life's experiences I'll never forget. Touchdown a little hard, but believe me, I was glad to be on that big old rock. And after waving goodbye to our Coast Guard buddies in the helicopter, it was time to begin our historic lighthouse adventure.
All right, so I forgot I left a little. We just listened to the seal pup scream at the end. I forgot I left that on the clip. Yeah, you hear that bumpy landing basket ride bit in the clip. That is something that I've seen in so many kind of like quick best of shots and everything. It's cool in a number of ways. One is Huell is getting some really kind of super deep behind the scenes-ness going on because this lighthouse was super closed down at the time. Which I guess Huell said it in the clip, the St. George Lighthouse, St. George's Reef Lighthouse. That was around from 1897 to 1974. It's still around, but it was decommissioned then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's introduce our guys here because we got two guys.
We got one guy. Guy.
We got guy the guy, and shoot, I didn't write his name. Did you write down
Commander Scott Allen?
There it is. Of course, he's got your name as part of his name.
But the spelling's all wrong. That's okay.
It's all good. So, Scott Allen, he's definitely an important part of this, but I was just transfixed on Guy Towers the whole episode.
Oh, yeah.
Because, okay, soon as you meet him, you see the graphic that it says he is with the St. George's Lighthouse Preservation Society. If the graphic didn't come up, you'd know because he's got it on his sweatshirt.
Yeah. And this guy, in the nicest way, in the best kind of way, is just a straight up nerd.
Oh my gosh, man!
Like he picked something, and this was it.
And not just lighthouses either. The St. George's Reef Lighthouse specifically, because homeboy Guy. First off, I want to throw this out there. I'm going to say it a number of times. He wrote the book on the place, literally. And you know those? Did you see a picture of it? Those Andover history books. Whenever they're always in antique stores and stuff with that like sepia tone cover, they always have the same outline. There's one on Tehachapi. There's one on
right,
Bakersfield.
yeah, okay.
His was published by that same company.
Wow.
So wherever you see those books, usually any used book or new bookstore antique stores always have a bunch of them. Guy got in there about the St. George's Reef Lighthouse. I'm just looking at him.
And the fact that he spent 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
He spent 10 years trying to preserve this thing and had never been.
No,
He
because
just saw pictures.
the Coast Guard owned the place. He couldn't go.
Right.
And it's funny that he didn't even go out on a boat to go near it. He was just looking at pictures this whole time, living in Crescent City, which I don't think we mentioned that's where we are, Crescent City, which, according to Huell, is as far north as you can get before you go into Arizona, I almost said. Oregon. Man. Which, have you been to Crescent City?
Have not.
I have. I even stayed the night there once.
Did you like it?
I actually did. It's Aaron and I did a trip up to the Seattle area for a friend's wedding, and we made a whole like coastal Pacific Northwest trip out of it. And Crescent City was our first stop. We drove all the way up, I think. Either way, we drove all the way up to Crescent City and stayed there, and we ate at a fish place. And as you know, I don't eat meat very often, and that was like the first time I had eaten like something for real in a long time.
Did you get sick?
I was so scared, man. I was scared because, you put that kind of stuff to the test at home, right? You don't
No,
you
on
don't
your
get
trip.
fish and shrimp on a road trip, and I just ordered it. This whole stupid basket platter thing. I was fine though.
Oh, okay.
But
That's good.
It's a cool place. It really feels like a whole nother world over there. I really liked it. And I really wish I could have gone and seen this lighthouse, even though it's 7 miles offshore. And
But I have good news for you.
oh, I know what you're saying.
Oh, you looked this up.
Dude, of course. You think I didn't do my heavy research on this episode?
I don't know. Well, you can take a tour.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we noticed at the end that it is being transferred.
I got a
Some-
whole
some sort of weird verbal agreement going on.
Yeah.
But the actual papers were signed by the Government Services Administration and the Del Norte County. Del Norte. They completed the final transfer basically to the Preservation Society.
Because again, this was a lighthouse that was owned by the Coast Guard and decommissioned and replaced with this little buoy, which Huell is just hating. He's hating that little buoy. We're kind of getting super off track with this episode. I don't care. It's lighthouses. I'm just going to be spouting lots of lighthouse facts probably. But either way, yes, Guy is, you can tell internally super excited to be there for the first time in 10 years. But you would never read it on his face or in his body language.
No.
He's just, yeah, I'm really excited to be here. Oh, yeah, I'm Guy. And then, so at about 6:30, are you as freaked out about this as...
Absolutely.
Okay, so they're climbing up this super rusty old staircase to get into the lighthouse. And Huell usually is the one who's being very careful with heights. And I would totally not have gone up this.
No, especially when they talk about it, you have no idea what's going to happen.
No.
And so Huell looks up and says, is this Coast Guard certified? Or someone says Coast Guard certified, and they kind of laugh. And he says, these stairs can be considered unreliable, so watch your step.
What the heck does that mean?
What does that mean? And they have this shot. The rail is totally gone at the part where you need it the most.
Yeah, and there's steep stairs snaking around a cylindrical lighthouse, and the railing has just been rotted away by salt decay. And there's 3 not small dudes walking up this lighthouse staircase, man.
Before I forget, because I will forget, I'm going to mention these tours. Quick detour. Did you see how much they cost?
Heck yeah.
How much we talking?
300 bones.
Oh, 300.
What'd you think?
What, dude? I got 195.
No, man. Did you go to, what's the website? Let me blast this out there. The St. George Reef Lighthouse.weebly.com
Oh yeah, I was there. Let's see.
/tours.
No, I was on Canada Free Press. This guy that took one of the tours.
Oh no.
He blogged about it.
there's tours that are still going on. There's one scheduled for like April 9th. Like they still are happening up to this time. They're all by helicopter because, as you heard, Huell had to go in by helicopter. The weird thing about it, though, is that there was a point when they were doing the preservation, they had all the tours set up, and then like the FAA shut them down because their helipad wasn't up to code. And that's where I left off in my research like 2 years ago. Now, I guess they got it figured out because they're doing the tours. It's $300 if you're leaving from Crescent City. If you're leaving from, I think, Bishop, it's $800. Here's the kicker, too, which, it's all up to the helicopter company, but say you're leaving from Bishop. I read this on their Facebook page, which I'll throw up on the links, too. If you are leaving from Bishop and you're not prepaying, which, I would, for sure, if they cancel the trip because of inclement weather, you only get $300 back. You're out 500 bones.
Do they at least sell some sort of insurance?
I don't know, man. It was a really
it just
weird...
sounds like the risk you take, I guess.
Yeah, it is. But I guess it's only been canceled one time because of weather, according to the Facebook post I saw. And it was because of potential lightning, and everyone got their money back because I guess they prepaid. So It was fine.
Well, I did notice that they did lay a new helipad.
Yeah.
So that's probably why they got approved.
Also, Chuck Yeager, famous test pilot, went in 2005.
Oh.
That's just like on the front page.
Would you take this tour?
In a heartbeat, dude.
Okay.
I've never been in a helicopter, so
dude,
check that one off. You wouldn't do a heli?
Well, it depends how long the ride is for.
Well,
I have no problem with the heights or anything like that, but
it's 7 miles out, so it takes like, I don't know, 5 minutes.
True, but probably 30 total, right? You get in. Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know how long the helicopter ride would actually take. There's 36 people that they can take per tour. So how big is this helicopter?
That's a big
boy. Or are they just going back and forth?
Maybe they go back and forth, yeah. Well, anyway.
My birthday's coming up, dude. If you want to...
We'll see. Maybe next year.
Okay. It's not even close yet. You already say that. So we get in... Okay. As far as getting back into the show, we get up that rickety staircase, and we get in the actual lighthouse. And... Guy is just a wealth of knowledge. They're showing off the motors that like ran the whole place, that were just what looked like diesel engines, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was all steam powered before that, and I guess they did a whole redo in the 50s, according to the guy. Okay. I don't know. I really don't know how to go about this episode in some ways because there's a lot of information, but then I feel like we're just restating the episode.
Right.
In a lot of ways. So I don't even want to say everything. I have so much written down.
Me too. I'm the same way. Maybe we'll talk about a few things.
Okay.
First, how deadly this place was.
Dude, it was the deadliest. Well, first off, it was a deadly reef to begin with, because it was all prompted by that Brother Jonathan ship, which is such a funny name, that sank and like 100 people something died, right?
166.
So that prompted the building of this lighthouse. And the rocks that this thing is on, you got to see some of these aerial shots that Louis was getting from the helicopter, because the little rock outcrop is called Dragon's Rocks. How did they build this thing? That's what's crazy to me about some of these lighthouses. That's the crazy part.
Yeah. Well, to me, so, okay, it's deadly in that way.
Yeah.
It's also deadly if you worked there.
Right?
Right? If you were a lighthouse keeper, because they used to have a boom that would just pluck you out of the water.
Not just like your whole boat.
The whole boat. And there was one time, what did Commander Allen called it? He called it a sneaker wave. When he put them in the water and killed 3 people?
When he first said that, I was thinking sneakers like shoes.
I thought a sneaker fish.
What is that?
I don't know. It just... It's a type of fish.
Either way, like I get what he meant, but it was a very funny way to say it.
But so 5 lighthouse keepers in total have died, which I guess makes it one of the most deadly
lighthouses.
You know, okay, there's that bit. Pretty dangerous. We just passed the scene where old guy is showing how they operate the machinery.
He's like miming it.
He's just miming it. Okay, so there's that. So we have the deadliest lighthouse. And they kept seals for pets.
Dude, yeah.
Let's talk about this.
So there's all these seals that are just hanging out on the lighthouse currently. I'm sure they're there right now too, but in the episode here. And then they go over to a picture of this guy, a lighthouse keeper in whatever year that would have been, the 30s maybe, something, with a seal pup like tied up on a leash, all sad looking, like. But they also brought dogs and cats out there, and you gotta watch this episode for many reasons, but this is not a big place.
No.
And there was just this, like, at this time, there's just this naked cliff of cement that you could just fall over, but all it was before was a small wrought iron gate. Like, these dogs must have been falling off the cliffs all the time. I don't know, man. It's definitely a weird lighthouse. And that's what's so weird about the whole lighthouse keepers and how these are some true freaks.
Well, so half of them were, right? Because I think it was Guy that was talking about the statistic. Out of the 80 lighthouse keepers that were placed out there, 50% put in for a transfer.
Like right away.
Right away.
But then the other
40.
Then there are other ones that were staying for like 20-year hitches. Well, those were like real loner freaks because like families weren't allowed on this lighthouse. A lot of other lighthouses that are based on land in some way, a whole family would live on site and help with the lighthouse maintenance and everything. Not here. It's just one lone dude.
Well, speaking of this lighthouse being unique by not being on a peninsula.
Oh, you want to get into that?
Let's get into that, yeah.
So, Guy is definitely who Huell goes to for most, well, pretty much all pieces of historical information. And once we get, because there's points when we're in the lighthouse, down at the base of the lighthouse, and then we get up to the actual light room where all the windows and the Fresnel lens was. And I won't get into the history of the Fresnel lens, but if you like lighthouses, you already know what that's all about. Once we get up there, Guy is like explaining the types of lighthouses, right? And there's like peninsular ones, shore-based ones, and then there's I don't want to say. I'm gonna let Guy do it. Okay. Listen to this.
St. George Reef is a special classification as a lighthouse. It's a wave-washed lighthouse.
It's a what?
A wave-washed lighthouse. In other words,
wave-washed
wave-washed. Right. That's a category of lighthouses. They categorize them by their location. Some were shore, where you could literally walk to them. Some on small peninsulas, and that was another designation. And then this is a wave-washed lighthouse. It takes the full brunt of the entire Pacific Ocean.
Boy, we're taking the full brunt of. What are these What are these things? You're covered with them.
A lot of shags out here, birds, seabirds, and then the flies follow that.
Goodness, this is nasty.
If you fish up in this area, that's what you put up with.
You're covered with them.
That is my favorite clip.
That's good.
This whole thing. Because, okay, I was talking to Aaron about this earlier because I was pretty sure, and I was right, that her mom says warshed.
Worshed.
Yeah.
Man, never heard that.
Like, her mom was born in Colorado, but my grandma also said it, and she's from Indiana. So, figure that one out.
Well, they're both kind of by each other.
Sort of. They both
Sort of.
they both would have called the east of the Rockies line on coast to coast.
Oh. Good ref.
Yeah. Anyway, but then the bit about the flies, that segue, because Guy says, as you heard, they're taking the brunt, and then Huell with we're taking the brunt of these flies. These are nasty.
Did you notice it? So Guy, okay, here's the thing. He uses some inside speak. I don't know if wave-worshed
Yeah.
is how you're supposed to say it, But he also refers to doesn't call them seagulls or birds in any way. They're shags.
I had never heard that before this.
He's using some insider language. I think he likes to do that. But
He seems like, Crescent City, from what I remember, is a really, the town is really based on the sea and shipping and all that stuff. So I think he definitely has some insider knowledge just living in this town, and especially
Right.
being so into this lighthouse. I don't know, shags. That I just thought of Austin Powers.
right? It's like,
But one thing that they mentioned a couple times in this episode that I already said once is that Fresnel lens. And without getting into too much specifics and detail about that, back in the day when lighthouses were lit by actual flames, they would have to amplify that light in some way. And the way that they did that was through light refraction. And a French guy named Fresnel invented this lens system that refracted light at with the most amount of intensity. And you may have seen these things if you've ever gone on a lighthouse tour. The Fresnel company made tons of them, and there were different orders. Like first order is what Guy calls this one, and it just meant the biggest.
okay.
And
And what
it
are
all had
these?
to do with the number of
What are these
panels
characteristics?
of the Fresnels?
Yeah.
They had this really
Well, no, it wasn't that there's a particular characteristic of the refracted light.
Oh
right?
yeah,
That
it was all
okay.
about the speed in which they're spinning.
Okay.
And that shown however many seconds it took for the light to flash at you. Because if you're at a specific point and a light is spinning, you're only going to see it flash at you for a second or two as it spins around. And each one had a specific time signature, I guess. So you if you're just navigating by charts and whatnot, if you're thinking I hope this is Crescent City. Oh, there's the light. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. And then you knew, oh, wait, shoot. We're 30 miles north. We're all the way up in Eugene, even though it's not a coastal town. But that's kind of what he meant by that.
Okay.
What else did we get?
Well, let's get to the question. How about that? Because we'll spend some time.
There's one other thing, I think. Oh, because one thing that's going on, probably the main reason that the Coast Guard was even going out there on this day, was that the repairs that were happening.
Oh, right.
They're repairing the glass that, I guess, I don't know, who the heck was out here with guns shooting this glass out?
Okay, I'm glad you brought this up.
Yeah.
I was totally going to graze past it. So, you're right. First of all, the guys are hammering in the middle of an interview, which is pretty funny, because he has to get all commander on him.
Al Dog has to get all hard on
He's
him.
like, come on, guys. Want to stop that for a bit? Okay. People were shooting, and I get that, because you could be in a boat, and shoot a window out, which is kind of funny, because, anyways, I guess it would take the fun out of it if you're really far away. That's not really the point.
Why you got a gun on a boat?
True. Well, pirates.
It's on the coast of California in 1995. Okay.
So, okay. He mentioned that people have stolen things from the lighthouse when it was unmonitored for the 20 years. The better question is, who and how are they getting on?
Because they made such a big deal about how hard it is to get on there, and they're showing all these shots of the super jaggedy dragon rocks out there, the boom that doesn't work, it's all falling down, can't pluck your boat up. Are these freelance helicopter pilots that are going out there and stealing lighthouse relics? It just doesn't make sense.
Oh, speaking of lighthouse relics, did you notice on the website?
Oh,
Just-
yes.
Okay, let's talk about it.
So the St. George Reef Lighthouse.weebly.org has a shop function on it, and they're sold out, unfortunately.
But they are coming out with smaller versions. A lot. I think they even said quite a bit smaller.
yeah, so it was just big bits of the lighthouse, it was like glass, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it was I guess pieces of this old broken windows that they were fixing at this point. And I'm a weirdo about this stuff, and I like owning pieces of things. Like, I wish I had a piece of the Berlin Wall, that kind of a historical thing. If I had known about it then, when it like went up for sale, yeah, woulda got. Must cop, for sure. Either way, the question you said, that Huell's like real lighthouse existential question.
Here, I'll ask it. Why are people so enamored with lighthouses?
You asking me?
So I'll give Commander Allen's response, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay.
So he responds.
Do you want to say it, or you want me to just play it?
Oh, do you have it?
I got a clip.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, let's play it. Even better.
Okay, here we go.
I'll just mess it up.
Here we go.
What is it about the lore of lighthouses that still in this modern day just grabs us like it does?
Well, I think we talked before about what is a lighthouse? It's a monument to, we're going to not have to suffer disaster at sea. It's a monument to maritime safety. It's a demonstration of a commitment to humanity to stave off disaster at sea. I think that's part of it. But that's not all of it. I think the workmanship, the craftsmanship, the dedication of the people, the stories they have to tell over the years are just a heartwarming and rich and probably heartbreaking at times element of American history.
It's really the lore, isn't it?
The lore of the lighthouse, yeah, right. And people have said it so many times. There's a romance connected with it, and there definitely is. The sea, ships, people surviving storms, saving lives, the lifestyles in the lighthouses themselves, and what the keepers had to put up with. All those things really lend to the romance.
So, do you agree with that?
Yeah, like I definitely think that's part of it. That's not personally why. Well, okay, so the first voice you heard was Captain Allen, and his was obviously more in the
Commander.
Sorry, Captain Allen is a song by a punk band from the '80s. I forgot about that. This band Arc Welder. Commander Allen. His is more. What would you say? Like realistic, like really rooted in the history of it.
Yeah.
And then Guy, who's the second voice you hear, his is more like about the romantic side of it, which I get totally. I guess for me, it's more of this kind of unique blend of artistic architecture with utilitarianism. Like it's just not something that happened a whole lot. Most utilitarian things, one, are used and abused and then torn down and thrown away. And two, not really put a lot of thought into how nice it's supposed to look. Because lighthouses, yes, most of them were built for utilitarian purposes. Why didn't they just make them big, ugly, square boxes with lights on the top? Like, why did they make them look the way they were? And the fact that they are built in these iconic spots, like most of the time, a lighthouse is not near an ugly area of coastline. It's usually pretty cool looking. So there's that to it. I don't think the romance of the lighthouse keeper tickles me as much either. It's more the fact that I almost like the freakdom of it, the same way like train freaks.
Yeah. Well, I was going to draw a parallel.
Totally.
That if you ask a person about trains, it wouldn't necessarily say, well, it takes a person from point A to point B. No. It's interesting that it curves. I don't know. I don't know, but
it's just one of those unspoken things a little bit. And I mean, to be honest, I'm really not that big a freak about these. I mean, I like them. I have gone and seen them. I have a couple books, but beyond that, I'm not like going to be like Guy and spend 10 years doing this at this time in my life anyway.
Right.
But
well, it's interesting. I mean,
totally.
I hadn't really reflected on that. Like,
it's almost like the Fresnel lens
nice.
Reflects. He segued, didn't even know it.
It's almost reflecting on what makes a nerd about something in particular.
Yeah.
I was just curious if there's something in your life that was, catalyst for the interest, but
no. And it's funny too because I always kind of had this. I always thought that lighthouses were much more uncommon than they really are. There are a lot of them all around the world still around, even still in use. Because a lot of them just got recommissioned with automatic lights. Like the one at Avila, like the nearest one to us, that's just got an automatic light in it now. But I was on a road trip, like a birthday friend time, early 20s road trip with Andrew, who was on the Taft Oil episode a couple weeks back. And we were going up Highway 1, and I saw a lighthouse, and I said, I've never actually been to a lighthouse. And he said, what? Let's go. And we just pulled off, and we went in, and it just had a little museum in it, and that was kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, wow, they're still around, and they're here. And most of them are highly celebrated. So I think I'm going to look more into these, and that's just kind of where it started.
Okay. Huh.
And, that being kind of a nerd about a thing, you either got it or you don't. Like, a lot of people just like stuff, but they don't like stuff.
Right.
Like, you got your stuff that you like. And most of our friends, like, these kind of obsessive personalities tend to flock together, as you can imagine. So, like, all of our friends kind of have a thing or a couple things. So that's why, I like the idea that Huell touched on train freaks, and he gets into lighthouse freakdom a little bit too. Because one thing, I forgot to mention this. This is Huell's first time in a lighthouse, too.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So, man, I know he goes to a number of lighthouses, and some of his own little personal portraits were in front of lighthouses, so I think he got a little bit of the bug.
Nice.
So the Point Reyes lighthouse that you went to is like super one of these iconic looking ones. I'm really jealous you've been to it twice. It's not that far from me either.
No. What you mean when you were living up there?
Then, or even just now. Like, you could really make a day trip out of it if you wanted.
Point Reyes? Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, it'd be like a whole day.
Yeah, it'd be a whole day. But so Chaz, he used to work. So Chaz was on the 1 year.
Yeah, it was 1 year.
It was 1 year. Oh, that's right. Dang. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. He was on the 1 year episode. He's the Huell dissenter. Well,
yeah.
he used to work on a farm out there in Point Reyes.
Yeah.
And it was nice. Inverness, the city, and you drive all the way out there.
Is that the city that had their own currency?
Yeah, and I had the little coin.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Yeah, the script money.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we had like buffalo milk ice cream. Dude, I don't know. But it was nice. You could make a nice day out of it. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm getting at.
So go on a day trip there is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
All right.
When it's sunny.
I don't know. I want to see that wind too. That sounds cool too.
It's pretty brutal.
I'm down. I don't care.
All right.
So lighthouses, love them or leave them. That's what I say. I don't know what that means. I just hope that people can get freaky about whatever they want to be freaks about. I think that's what this whole episode should be about. Be a freak about something.
Yeah.
Where are we going next week, though?
Dude, I don't even know.
Do we need to look it up?
You want to look that up?
Okay, hold on.
This is amazing.
Ooh, it's a big one.
It's continuing the water theme.
And kind of the me theme a little bit.
Yep. So, California pools.
Ooh, baby.
So it's a topical episode.
I'll clean them all.
Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. We're going to the Memorial Coliseum. We're going to Hearst Castle.
Ooh.
And we're going to 2 pools that are now gone in San Francisco. Are you familiar with those?
The Fleischecker pool. I never seen that, but the second one, the Sutro Baths, that's a big kind of San Francisco hotspot. I have been to that one. It's like a ruin, even though it's only like 100 years old. It's a cool place.
Okay.
So, man,
It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be hard not to talk super techie pool talk.
Oh, you know what's funny? I totally forgot you're in the pool business.
For 16 years of my life. Whoops. Yeah. I don't think I'll ever fully escape it.
No, but
what are you going to do?
At least next week will be informative.
Exactly. So come along with us next week and every week as we continue our search for
Huell's Gold.